Hi, my name is Angela Mejia, and I'm going to be doing an assessment of the neurological system.
My name is Louis Mejia, and I consent to the recording of this video.
I'm going to first start out by washing my hands, and I'm starting out by assessing the patient's mental status. What's your name?
Louis.
And do you know what today is?
Monday.
Good. And do you know where you are?
Home.
Okay, so the patient is awake, alert, and oriented to person, place, and time. So now I'm going to move on to the assessment of the cranial nerve, starting with cranial nerve 2, the optic nerve. Usually I would start this test by testing the patient's visual acuity using the Snellen eye chart, which we previously did in another video. So I'm going to be performing the visual fields by confrontation test. Okay, so just face me. And we're going to be about arm's length apart. I'm going to have you cover one of your eyes. Okay. And look straight ahead at me and let me know how many fingers you see.
1, 2,
Okay. Cover your other eye. Okay. Look straight ahead at me. Look at my nose. How many fingers?
2, 1, 2.
Good. Okay. So now we're going to, you can turn straight. Now we're going to move on to the assessment of the cranial nerves 3, 4, and 6, the ocular, motor, trochlear, and abducens nerves. And I'm first going to start by assessing or inspecting the patient's palpebral fissures, which are equal bilaterally. And I'm also going to be looking for any lid lag or drooping, which there's none present. Okay. So now I'm going to move on to testing the patient's pupillary response as well as their extraocular movement. Okay. So I'm going to first start out with testing your pupillary response. Oh, here it is. Okay. So just look straight ahead at me. Okay. And I want you to look at my finger, turn towards me a little bit. Okay, and don't move your head, okay? Okay, look at my finger. Good. So the patient's pupils are equal, round, and reactive to light and accommodation. So now I'm going to move on to the assessment of cranial nerve 5, the trigeminal nerve. And I'm going to do this by having you clench down. Okay, and I can feel that the muscle strength is equal bilaterally. And I'm going to have you close your eyes for me and say now when you feel this touch, okay?
Now. Now. Now.
Good. Okay, so now we're moving on to cranial nerve 7. Cranial nerve 7 tests the facial nerves. So I'm going to have you make a couple of different faces for me, okay? Okay, smile and frown and move your eyebrows up and down. Good. Puff your cheeks out and show your teeth. Okay. So now we're done with that. We're going to move on to the assessment of cranial nerve 8, the acoustic nerve. And we're already having conversation. He's already responding to my speech, so I can tell that his hearing is intact. He doesn't use any assistive devices such as hearing aids. So I'm going to move on to the assessment of I'm going to do whispered voice test, okay? So I'm going to have you cover one ear and repeat the phrase, okay?
Apple.
Cover the other ear.
Baseball.
Good. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the assessment of cranial nerves 9 and 10, the glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. Okay, so I'm going to start off by, I want you to say ah for me and stick your tongue out, okay? Ah, stick your tongue out. And I can see the uvula rising midline, and now I'm going to just be testing for gag reflex. Good. Sorry. And the gag reflex is intact. Now we're going to move on to assessment of cranial nerve 11, the spinal accessory nerve. So for that, I just want you to press your face into my hand as hard as you can. Good. Other way. Good. And now I want you to shrug your shoulders against my hands. Okay. Good. And the last assessment is of cranial nerve 12. The cranial nerve 12 is the hypoglossal nerve. So I just want you to stick your tongue out for me. Good. And the tongue is midline and there aren't any tremors. And now you can put your tongue back in your mouth. And I want you to say light, tight, and dynamite.
Light, tight, and dynamite.
Good. And the speech is clear and distinct. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the assessment of the motor system. I'm going to start out by inspecting the patient's muscles, looking for any atrophy or weakness. There's no atrophy, no weakness. I don't see any tremors. So we're going to move on to a couple of tests that test the cerebellar function. We're going to start out by a test called the rapid movement test. So you're going to place your hands on your legs like this, and I just want you to start flipping.
Now?
Yep, go ahead. Fast as you can. Yep, good, perfect. Okay, the next one is fingers to thumb. Good. Now finger to nose. Other hand, finger to nose. Good. Now I'm going to have you stand up, and if you could just walk just right there, just a couple of steps. Good. And now I want you to walk back, heel to toe, in a straight line. Good. Okay, now just turn for me, face the camera. And that was checking balance. I'm going to check the balance again by having you stand, feet together, hands at your side. And I want you to close your eyes. And I'm checking for balance, and there's no swaying. Great balance. Okay, you can open your eyes now. And now I want you to hop on one foot at a time. Other foot. Good. And the balance, as you can see, is great. Okay, you can have a seat. And now we're going to be moving on to the assessment of the sensory system. Basically, we're testing sharp touch, dull touch, and light touch, okay? So this is a sharp touch, okay? This is a dull touch.
Okay.
So close your eyes for me and let me know whether you feel a sharp or a dull touch, okay?
Dull. Sharp.
Good.
Dull. Sharp.
Good. Okay. And now we're going to test your sensation of a light touch, okay? So this is the light touch. So close your eyes and say now when you feel the light touch, okay?
Now. Now.
Good job. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is, I'm going to test your perception, okay? So I want you to put your hand out for me, close your eyes, and I want you to tell me if I'm putting your finger up or down, okay?
Up. Down.
Good job. Okay, and we'll do another test. You can close your eyes for me one more time, and I want you to tell me what it is that you feel in your hand. Put your palm up, okay? And I'm going to put that in your hand, close it, and let me know what that is. What do you think that is?
A ring.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, so the last set of tests we're going to do for the neurological system, test the patient's reflexes. There are several that can be tested. I'm just going to do a few. Okay, so I'm going to use my reflex hammer, and I'm going to be testing, start out with the bicep reflex, okay? So basically, you know what, you can put your hands like this. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Okay, and I'm looking for the bicep to contract. Okay, and then for the tricep test, I'm doing the same thing right above the elbow, and I'm looking for the tricep muscle to contract. Good, and I can do the wrist one, and the hand will contract. Good, and we could also do the abdomen one. I would take the end of the reflex hammer and just basically from the corners go towards the midline, and I'm looking for the abdomen muscles to contract. Good, just like that. Okay, and we'll do the common knee jerk test. So just let your legs dangle, okay? Just relax. Good. Good job. And the last test I'm going to do is testing the plantar reflex. So I'm going to use the end of my reflex hammer, and good. Good. I'm going to do this foot. Good. I'm looking for those toes to curl in. We want the toes to curl in, the plantar flexion, and we don't want a positive Babinski sign. Babinski is when the toes fan out, and we are looking for a negative Babinski sign. So this concludes the assessment of the neurological system. Thank you.